In my mind, it's like you want to be able to feel the pain too, a little bit to some degree, because then you got some issues, and you need to work on them from the inside out. And I feel like hemp / CBD it just helps and creates, gets rid of the inflammation, because where you feel pain, that is inflammation. Inflammation is pain, pain is inflammation. How do you get rid of inflammation? Well, you create homeostasis. And how do you create homeostasis? Well, it's all boils back to plant-based medicines and making sure your levels are all running at optimal levels. And how do you do that? Well, get your blood work done and have a hormone specialist analyze it, and start with CBD. For people that just want to kind of, some people are still completely dead against cannabis because it makes you high, and some people just don't like that, and that's totally fair. So there's, in our facility here, we also we do nano emulsions, and we do tea-free. So we take out. So when you grow hemp, we grew a couple hundred acres of hemp in the last couple of years, and you have to isolate that CBD, and then from there you can also take out what little THC is in there. It's got to be below 0.3%, right? You can take that right out. So we call it tea-free. So, for the people that are a little bit scared, try the tea-free distillate, tea-free CBD. Go into your local stores and see what, if they have that available, and then start giving yourself 5 to 10 milligrams before you go to bed at night and see how you sleep. My dad's been doing it for a while now, and he can get great sleep.
And just for the listeners so they understand, so T3 is basically the whole full spectrum oil or the distillate minus the THC part. So if they're worried about, the THC is going to give me psychotropic, or, it's going to make me high or anything like this. Now, obviously at 0.3, I mean, we're talking about like such a small level.
I don't think you're going to get anything at that, but
which you're not going to get anything. We like to use it because of the full spectrum entourage effect. So we like having a little bit of THC in there. Now, again, it's still such a small amount. We're working on something now that actually by weight, we could get more THC in it for the people that want that legally without using a medical marijuana card. But let's go back to the fact of the pushback, because that's something I wanted to ask. Do you find that people are reaching out to you, asking you more about cannabis or health related questions, or are you doing anything to kind of get out there and educate locally, nationally? I'm just curious if players have ever asked you your experiences, or just family members or friends. How do people respond to you, and what are you doing to kind of get the education out yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. Just talking openly about it, just like what we're doing right now. I see my father, my close family. It starts with our close family. Even my kids could be taking CBD before games, which they do. It's just about education. That's the biggest thing right now, because a lot of people don't know the difference between cannabis and hemp, right? And then you got industrial hemp, and then you got medical grade hemp, CBD hemp. So it's all about education right now. And what do I do to promote that? Well, sometimes if I am, the odd time that I'm on social media, and I kind of scroll through some stuff, and I will follow people that I think I'm learning something from, because I love this industry and I want to know more and more about it. So I'll retweet the article and something that resonates with me. So just kind of get it out like that. I don't want to be constantly pushing stuff in people's faces, but I think it's something that needs to be out there. It needs to be out there, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. But yeah, so basically that, and just we're a new business, we're a new company. We're not that new. We been around for about 4 years, but we're just building this business, and the way regulations change all the time, it's hard to get established, right? So that's part of my game plan. Once we have this company up and running, and we have everything in place, is social responsibility is huge on my radar, and to be able to educate and advocate what we're trying to do.
Of course, we love what you're doing, and it's kind of something. It's been a passion for mine for so many years. I can't say that I have the injuries that you've gone through, but the people that I've tried to help with so many different modalities out there. And it's not just pain and inflammation, right? So we have, we have people that are epilepsy. We have people that have GI issues. They have fibromyalgia. They have
mental health.
Mental health issues. I mean, there's so many things that people have no idea that can really be helped with using something from the plant, natural, instead of all these medications. I mean, it was funny something you said, Ryan. You said if you stop taking the opiates, you'll know that you're like a little hurt. Like you'll feel your body telling you that there's some healing that still needs to be done. Not that, and that's hugely important. If you're going out there and you're masking all that pain, you really don't know how much more you're hurting yourself. I mean, nobody really talks about that part, right? I mean,
but if you're creating more damage for sure,
you're right, creating more damage, right? So if you don't, I mean, the pain is your body telling you, whoa, there's something wrong. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is, you're like, wait, stop. this, I'm hurt.
Slow down.
I feel sometimes cannabis does that on its own. Like, sometimes I'll smoke some weed and then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh man, my neck is a little sore. So that'll force me to go work on it.
Yeah, that's a really good point as well. I love the fact that you're always trying to do education. We are, and something we could do, trying to forward the narrative together. I mean, that's really what Hempire is about. That's why we do it. There's so many people that are misinformed, uneducated, and we also like to do a little entertainment as well. So, I always ask, is there anything from the NHL that you remember, and we'll go back to hemp in a minute, but just something that you remember, I don't know, just a backstory of something that you were in your career that really stuck out. Could it be with you, could be without you, something you saw on the ice, something that just made you turn your head and go, wow, I never thought growing up as a kid, the NHL was this way, but really it is because it's a business, or just anything wild that's happened or in and out of the ice, just anything that you remember that listeners would just bring them into the eyes of Ryan for a couple minutes.
Yeah, well, the first time stepping out on the ice, and it was just like, it's kind of a sequel to what we talked about earlier, when I met Wayne Gretzky. So that evening, I was literally like, I come from St. John, New Brunswick, flew to LaGuardia, and then took a town car into Maple Leaf or Madison Square Gardens. And then I remember that first time putting on the New York Rangers jersey. And I remember just that initial feeling of like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm putting on the New York Rangers jersey. And
let's go Rangers.
Yeah.
Let's go. Ranger fan right here. So
yeah, I know. Well, so you were saying,
yeah. So yeah, putting on a jersey and just skating on the ice in Madison Square Gardens was definitely a feeling that I'll never forget. Being on the ice with Wayne Gretzky, Messier, Brian Leach, Mike Richter, all these Hockey Hall of Famers is whoa.
All the greats.
Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of funny because, people forget that the athlete was the kid, right? Like you think back and you're always, when you're a kid, you're, the fourth quarter making the last shot, or you're in the third period and you're down a goal, or, you're whatever the sport is, and you always picture yourself in that stadium or everybody watching. And was that something that was crazy for you? The amount of eyes, the media, the cameras, just was that ever a factor that kind of blur out, because you're in the game, right? So you're not really paying attention to that as much.
Yeah, initially, it's that you kind of get groomed into it basically from when you're playing in Delhi double C hockey to junior B hockey to and junior C hockey, you get 200 fans. Then you go to junior A, and our home rink was a couple thousand. So that's when I started getting a little nervous. But then you just kind of be able to put that out of you. And the coaches always said, play in between the glasses. Don't even worry about what's outside those glasses. You just focus on what's right here in front of you right now for this next 3 periods, 2 hours. Right. And that kept it real simple. And then just do your job on the ice. And it doesn't matter if there's 5 people in the stands or 5,000, you know. And then you step it up another level when you go to the NHL, and I was like, whoa, damn. It's a you got to remind yourself is playing between the glasses, you know. And so you get used to it, but initially it is a bit of a nerve-wracking, but yeah, you get over it. I'll never forget my first. Here's one of my most embarrassing moments. My second year pro, St. John's, Newfoundland, Toronto's farm team. Tom Watt was our coach, and he wanted us before the game, first game of the year, to come out of the Zamboni area where the Zamboni comes out and skate as fast as you can to the blue line and stop. Well, as soon as he said that, here he's like, you know, manifesting your own destiny. I'm telling myself I'm gonna fucking fall. So I said that to myself. So sure enough, my name gets called. I skate out to the blue line. I go to stop. My knees buckle. I slid right across the red line where the red carpet was. Our mascot, Buddy the Puffin, was on it. I knocked Buddy. I hit the red carpet, which flipped Buddy the Puffin. I had to jump over the red carpet. Stepped on a bit of the red carpet, almost fell again. Get to the blue line. I get a standing ovation because the rink is sold out. First game of the year. I just did a bow, and yeah, it was quite interesting that game.
And everybody knew who your name was after that day.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was looking for. I was hoping for something, just something. We always try to make it personalized, and we just want to hear from you. You know, we love bringing everyone on that obviously, look, we're all in the same fight together, right? We're trying to educate. We're trying to bring medication to people that can use it without giving them side effects. We're trying to do it naturally. And just talking about that, because I do know that obviously saw that cup and everything. I know you're a little bit into the psilocybin as well. Is that something that the cannabis kind of was the first part, and then you got more into the psilocybin a little bit, kind of opened up the gate, not necessarily, you know, but is that maybe opened up your mind to other natural healing? I mean, just today, breaking news, Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, I mean, literally, it's all over the news today, how he was messing around with ayahuasca, and it's helped him through his 2 MVP seasons. I mean, like, you know, it makes frontline news today. And I mean, obviously it's not cannabis, but it's still another natural alternative that helped. He said with focus. I didn't read the entire article, but I did read a little bit of it, and it just said how it just helped him more focused, to be in a better mindset. You know, speak upon that, I guess, or what your experience is.
Yeah, no. So it's funny that you say that. Ayahuasca, I experienced that right at the beginning of COVID there. Well, no, it was June of last year. And cannabis actually, you know, brought it to me. I looked up ayahuasca way back at when I was doing my research on cannabis back in 2012, 2013. I was filing some articles like the Rick Simpson oil and good for cancer and this and that. And so I was collecting all that kind of stuff. And then I always wanted the experience with ayahuasca. And I must be a psychonaut, eh? Always want to experience with psychedelics. But I find it fascinating that, you know, from 1950 to 1965, the U.S. had like over 1,000 white papers on psychedelics, on how it was helping mental health back then. And then, of course, the Nixon government comes in and you know, put the war on drugs, and then Reagan after that. So, yeah, I definitely feel cannabis brought me to psychedelics and ayahuasca on top of that. And I think anyone who's experienced with, you know, whether it's mental health or chronic pain or, you know, anything health related, why wouldn't you try a plant-based medicine where the indigenous people have been using it for thousands of years, and somehow it just got taken away? So it's getting more mainstream, and people like Alan. You said Allen Iverson, right? They need to speak up like that. And
No, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers. Sorry,
Aaron Rodgers, a quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, good for him for speaking up and just being open about what he's doing. It's only going to help thousands of more people.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you, I think Allen Iverson definitely is all about marijuana. That's for sure. I don't know about ayahuasca, but he definitely being in Philly, he was not a stranger to cannabis. No, you know, and it's funny because again, there's so many different things. We have a lot. This weekend or when we go away, you know, to these events and things, and they talk about ketamine treatments and they talk about, you know, micro dosing of mushrooms. But you know, getting back to what we were talking about in the beginning with the athletics, there's so many doctors. When I tell you the board of doctors that were supposed to be like the experts are still, I wouldn't say clueless, but still do not have a great handle on the benefits of cannabis, or they're worried about things that, you know, they're worried about how it impedes your performance. Okay. Cannabis impeding your performance. Like, when should I tell the athlete to stop using cannabis before they go on the field or they go on? And I'm like, no. There's so many athletes that are coming on and saying, like, I mean, bring Riley up again, or bringing up a kind of the other athletes that we've had that basically said, no, it helped me. We had Michael Moore the other day. Is like, I wish I was smoking, you know, more than I was.
Yeah.
You know, and because of just not necessarily the mental acuity thing, is more of like just my body, right? Just helping with the pain afterwards and faster recoveries. But then, you know, you talk to someone like Riley, he said, well, I smoked, you know, all through the time I was in the NHL and used cannabis, and it definitely helped me, you know? So it's kind of like, it's so misunderstood right now of where we need to be. I mean, now we're talking about children. They were talking, let's not say children, but I say children because they're still like, they're in college, you know, they're trying to figure out how much can I take before I don't pass a drug test. Or a lot of it is becoming now with the recruiting that I've heard. I mean, we're talking about major, we can't, because there's some Bible Belt schools and there's some schools that are completely against cannabis. And they're saying, well, we have a zero tolerance policy. Like, that's it. And these people in their culture have grown up smoking, or their family has, or it's used them in just, and now they're saying, well, you go to college and you can't. Well, they're missing out on recruits. I mean, you're talking about, you didn't use it because you were scared that you would have a black mark on yourself, right? Being in the NHL, where these kids are going, these are blue chip players saying, well, I'm not going to go to that college if I can't smoke or I can't use cannabis.
Yeah. I think times are changing. The younger people are going to really change things. The people that are doing that right now, and they got to continue to fight for that and speak the truth. And as long as you're, you know, like, I have great workouts when I smoke a little, a couple puffs. You don't need to smoke a whole joint, but whatever I feel, you get used to whatever it is you feel, but you have that intention before you smoke of what you want to accomplish, and you stay focused on it and you get it done, and you do it to the best of your ability, no matter what. And whether you're a little, you know, you're a little high or not, I mean, whatever it is, just get it done. I mean, now that's not to say when you're driving, I'm not promoting smoking and driving by no means, but
of course not.
If I'm going to go, you know, I was playing some rec hockey, and I'm sitting there, and some guys are smoking before they go on the ice. And I was already smoking weed on a regular basis at the time, but never ever would I thought I would do it before I went on the ice. But I thought, well, heck with it, I'm going to try it out. So I did, and I actually had one of the best games ever.
You know, it's funny.
I wasn't panicking with a puck. I was actually just holding on to the puck a little more patient, you know, more relaxed out there.
Definitely more calm.
Yeah,
definitely more calm.
You know,
and I think, and now here's where I feel like I've never, exactly, like when I was playing or anything, that was never part of my my game plan. But I will tell you, it's probably going to be a little different when I'm playing rec hockey or I'm jumping out on an NHL game, but you know what, like, to that level, right? The level of competition, or how quick the game is, or what's on the line, and people's jobs and things like that. Right. And that's where I think you're right, though. I feel like so many people have the misunderstanding of like, well, it's just going to make me feel dumb. When I smoke, I'm socially awkward, or I'm just want to be left alone, or, you know, a lot of people feel like that. And and a lot of people don't. And it's also knowing what type of terpene profile, what type of strains you're using, how you're dosing. I mean, nobody's telling you to go and get super high and then basically, go out and do something. They're just saying a little bit is helping you perform better. Just a little bit. Not that you're so, brain dead that you can't even figure out how to do anything, where you're forgetting things. Just a little bit of mental acuity, just a little bit of relaxation lets you see the ice a little bit better or the game a little slower. And that is such an important thing, because the stigma of, I never thought about taking marijuana and then going and playing a game. That's just not something I would have put into.
It was never in my head ever to do anything like that. I grew up in the 80s, 90s, basically. And I was like, whoa, no. But, there's things we can do now, too, with DNA. Like we get our blood and we get it tested against certain cannabinoids, certain terpene profiles. And I had that done. And some cannabinoid profiles will make me feel like a little bit too anxious. And some are good for me, like the myrcene and the limonene. And so in the science that's coming out, if people are real serious and they want to try something new, then they can. It is a science, and you can do that now. Just got to go online and find it. But there's not a lot out there, but it's coming.
And that's why we say, everybody, go out, get educated. Experiment, see what works for you. If you're not a proponent of cannabis and CBD, well, go out and try it and see what works for you. Start low and start slow.
Just go slow.
Slow. You don't have to, go into it, full force, but understand that there are a lot of health benefits and there's a lot of different ways that it can help you, but you got to find your specific terpene profile or your strain or your dose. I mean, it's what's going to work for one person's not going to work for another. But get educated, because so many people are getting relief from this beautiful plant, as well as just helping them in their everyday life. You don't have to be a professional athlete. We say it all the time. You could be a soccer mom. You could be, someone that's on their feet all the time. You could just someone that has some GI issues or got in a car accident, had some back issues, or, there's so many, maybe depression or some other things. There's so many ways that you could utilize this plant. Just get the knowledge and talk to people from a reliable source. We're always available at PureWell. Ryan is obviously, if you could reach out to him somehow. Ryan, would there ever be a way where people or through the company or they could find out a little bit more about what you're doing as well?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. And whenever there's something, I'll post something on there. I'm sure if you put my full name in there, you'll find me. And then I'll just keep people up to date on what's going on with my company as we have updates.
Of course. And honestly, just what we're saying is go to a trusted source. Yes. There's a lot of information out there, but there's a lot of bad information. Okay. Right. So that is difficult for people, because they're like, well, I'm doing my research, but they don't realize that 70% of the stuff out there is BS. Yeah. So go to a trusted source. You could always call us PureWell 24/7. We'll help you. We're online. We're on the phones. You always chat with us. We'll be able, ask and answer questions as possible. THC or CBD. We could help you out with that. And just this is all we're here to do, people. We're trying to educate. We're trying to let you help you. And we're so thankful you came on the show, Ryan. We're definitely going to work together on something. I think you're going to like what we do. We're going to get you some products so you can try some cool stuff, get you some swag, and just thank you for being on.
Well, thanks for having me. And if you ever need me, I'll speak on talk shows every once in a while. So I don't know if you ever do that, but stay in touch. And you can check out one of the companies that, on a bit of a side note, we spun out of this building here inside here is a company called Serenity.com, spelled PSIRENITY. And it's a health and wellness virtual health clinic. Basically what they do is we'll have nurses go right to your door, take your blood work, and then analyze it through our homo specialist, and create homeostasis with, just nutraceuticals and hormone therapy. And then eventually we'll be supplying other products as well. But Serenity.com would be, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. All right, Ryan. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Why don't you take them out, Pete? Tell us a little bit about where they can find us on podcast.
Well, they can find us anywhere you listen to your podcasts. We're talking about iHeartRadio, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and of course the flagship, CannabisRadio.com. We thank you guys again. We really appreciate your time there, Ryan.
The opinions expressed on this CannabisRadio.com program are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of CannabisRadio.com. Any rebroadcast, republication, or retransmission of this program without proper consent is prohibited.